Hi everybody, this is Doc Courage. Let me make sure you can hear me. Tap if you can hear me. Thanks for joining me, I appreciate it. I'm kind of new to Periscope, so I'm not really familiar with all of the technology available, and so I appreciate you following me as I go through this learning curve. Today I wanted to talk to you about Doc Courage, and I'm a professor of communication. I've taught at the University of Arkansas and at Ecclesia College, a local college here. It's a Christian school, and I teach communication courses. And so one thing I notice in society, among my friends and among people, is some perceptual errors and some communication issues that, if we could solve, really would improve the quality of our relationships. And I believe that the quality of your communication will dictate the quality of your relationships, because every relationship is built on communication. So if you communicate well in that relationship, you probably have a great relationship that you enjoy. If you don't communicate well, you probably have a relationship you'd rather escape. And relationships aren't necessarily romantic. You have a relationship with your boss. You have a relationship with your kids. You have a relationship with the people that live next door to you. You have relationships with everybody that's outside of your skin that you interact with in a day, and you actually have a relationship with the person inside your skin too. So there are a lot of communication strategies and tools you can use that will help your relationships and your perceptions, not only of the people around you, but also with yourself. And man, we can fix a lot of stuff if we fix our perceptions that are askew. Have you ever thought of something as something or thought of a person in a way that you later discovered they weren't that way at all, but based on your perception or something you thought you previously knew or observed about them, or maybe it was the type of person that they were, you know, maybe in terms of ethnicity, or maybe in terms of the clothes they wore, the car, some kind of artifact around their life that made you believe that they were a certain type of person. And then later you found out they're not that type of person, they're a different type of person, and just the evidence that you had seen was insufficient. Well, that's a lot of times the way perceptions are. For instance, okay, this is a bad example, and I'm going to tell you some of my junk. My car is almost always messy. And so somebody might decide that that means that I am a sloppy person without a lot of self-respect or respect for the things that that I'm charged to be a good steward of. Well, that could be your perception, but you need to recognize that your perceptions are almost always incomplete in terms of data. You may not have enough information for that perception to be valid. So for instance, maybe my car is always messy because when I get out of the car, often I have a grandchild and I'm carrying my grandchild in the house instead of the trash in the house. And then, you know, I'm rushing to meet the parent for the grandchild. So there are circumstances about my messy car you may not be aware of. And then there's probably the little bit of truth is I'm a little bit messy anyway. But if you took that thought and you applied that to my whole value as a person, oh, she's just messy, so her whole life is messy. She has nothing to offer me because I don't like messy people. Then you would probably be overstating that information that you found. And I can see there's a glare on my glasses, so I'm going to move them for you. Okay. And so that's the problem with perceptions. We always have to be aware of the way we're thinking. And when we think about the way we're thinking, we call that in communication meta-thinking. Examine the way you're thinking and don't assume it's right. You know, check it. Check it against other people's perceptions, because then you can kind of see if you're close to accurate, if there's any validity in it. And other people's perceptions aren't always right either, but you get more data when you run your information outside of your own brain. And the title I gave you today is perceptions and how that affects the way you think. And what got me thinking on this is I saw the pictures of the refugee baby yesterday laying on the shore, and that was, you know, it's heartrending, it's terrible. And the fact is that crisis in the world does this to babies and families. And of course, everybody feels empathy, and especially seeing a baby washed up on the shore with no life in his body. And so I put the picture up, and I was thinking about how there are other babies that are drowning or coming across borders that we don't call refugees, we call them illegal. And we name them illegal rather than refugee. And so the way that we frame that baby, whichever one it is, or that person, or that mother, or that father, whether we call them a refugee or we call them an illegal, has a lot to do with how we then believe that we should behave. Because you see, if we can put them in a category of something less than they are, something that kind of demeans their value, then we don't feel too bad about doing nothing. We don't feel too bad about not caring. We don't feel too bad about libel and slander. We don't feel too bad about calling them rapists and murderers. We don't feel bad about that. We have no conscience about it because they're less than a human being that's worthy of dignity. And so I want you just to think about your perceptions and how differently you can name a thing, and then it takes on a whole different meaning and a whole different way of how you believe it's okay for you to behave. And so if anytime you hear yourself or anyone else making comments about people, listen up for or classifying people with our words, which we have to understand the meaning of this situation. Is it a candidate or is it a businessman? You know, understand the meaning of how we should process the information they put out. But pay attention to those classifications, because if they put a person in a lower than deserving of human dignity and human concern, an intervention state, you might want to question their motives and whether they're actually a person that's like-minded and of pure heart that you want to engage with or follow their advice or their solutions, because they definitely are suffering from a lack of information, and you don't want to settle for no information or no valid information just because you have a I don't know what to do about the crisis with the refugees. I don't know what to do about the crisis of the undocumented workers that are coming across the border, but I do know that we can't regard them as less than human. We've done that in American history before, and Hitler did it before, and it never comes out well, and it's never right. So just think about your thinking and about your perceptions, and then the way you perceive things and then the way you label people will have a lot to do with the success of your communication and the satisfying nature of your communication with them, and especially those people who disagree with you. Be careful about the way you label them or categorize them, and you'll have much better relationships, much better conflict resolution, and probably a much happier life. So just go for a happier life. This is Courage. I hope you will go to my website, Courage Communication for Change, and that's the number 4, CourageCommunicationForChange.com. And I'm just now getting all my platforms up, so check out my YouTube videos and my services, and send me an email or contact information if you think that your company might like to engage my services. I'd love to talk to you. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye. How do you get off? Oh, swipe down. Okay, bye.